think there are a lot of misconceptions about what being an adult is all about. I think people view adulthood as tons of responsibility and being busy all the time and probably giving up a lot of the fun that they had when they were younger. But I think something else characterizes being an adult. I think it is all about slaying your demons. All of us are saddled with flaws and issues and baggage. There's literally no one who's not dealing with something, and often dealing with a lot of things. But some people are much further along in life, and I think the ones who progress further do so because they wrestle with their issues. They acknowledge them, they're fully aware of them, and they make a concerted effort to fight back against them. Self-improvement is something I think we don't think a lot about. Maybe when we're young, you try to acquire knowledge and learn new skills, but in general, I think we prioritize a lot of things over self-improvement. We all need lots of soft skills we often talk about for job applicants, but I think we tend to see people as simply not having them or having them. We don't often think about our deficits in these areas, and if we do, we don't prioritize growing in these areas. Let me give you some examples of things I'm thinking about. Listening to other people, not just giving them time to talk, but trying to understand what they mean, rather than trying to impress others with our experience or knowledge or stories. Drawing out others to share that with us. Learning new things, both to exercise our minds, to acquire new skills and knowledge, but also grow our understanding of our world and how things work. Trying to empathize with people, trying to understand really where they're coming from, not just what they mean, but literally the background that they have. What got them to this point, and why they may have a completely different view from us, and how that could be legitimate. Setting aside our own pride or desire for attention or praise, and instead trying to give others compliments, praise, credit, or a chance to shine. Not trying to amass more money, power, or fame for ourselves, but trying to think of ways to give back to our community. If you think of people that you really respect, appreciate, and most importantly enjoy spending time with, these characteristics are probably highly evident in them. The great people in our communities and businesses and friend groups tend to have spent a lot of time on self-improvement. But let's consider the opportunity cost of this. You can't really post about these kinds of accomplishments on social media. They don't tend to impress people. They don't make good pictures for your online story. How most of us are viewed publicly, things like how much we make or how expensive our car, house, or clothes are, how athletic we are, where we're vacationing, or any of the million other visible but less meaningful things in our life, how we are viewed doesn't really benefit from focusing on what really matters. So in a world where thousands and thousands of people will see you, but maybe hundreds at best will get to know you, does who you are really matter? Of course, this is a ridiculous question, but you have to understand that you'll be tugged at every day about the subtle or not so subtle judgments that people make about you, or you believe people are constantly making about you. How often do you worry your hair doesn't look right? But how often do you worry that you're not empathetic enough to the people around you? Odds are you can be really self-conscious about your appearance, but you don't worry anywhere near as often about your personal growth. So I want to explain why the hard work to improve yourself is worth it, even though you may not get much acknowledgement for your efforts. I think the answer is that you'll get lots of acknowledgement for it, but it might not be the kind that you'd expect. If you've been lucky enough to have a good manager, a really good manager, I can guarantee you that that person prioritized making themselves better. Great managers are people that put others first and listen and aren't doing what they're doing for their own benefit. I'm sure you've had at least one bad manager. The number one thing that I think bad managers share in common is they likely got into the role they got into because they wanted something for themselves. Maybe they expected prestige or power or more money and thought managing was the way to get there, but great managers don't do their job for any of those things. The same really tends to be true of our partners in relationships, parents, friends. Some people are just better at these roles than others. And while we may imagine that there is some zodiac sign that says who works better in a relationship than others, or a Myers-Briggs profile that explains how people relate, the truth is some people have just spent a lot more time trying to improve themselves. So think about two people from your life, bosses, partners, friends. Compare and contrast the good one and the bad one. Do you notice any differences in them that you would characterize as maturity, personal growth, and soft skills like putting others first? I think it is a dichotomy that we all have to deal with, that we spend a lot of time making superficial conversation with others. And when we do that, We don't ever talk about others being mature or kind or empathetic. We talk about their accomplishments, their possessions, things that are flashy. But all things being equal, when a person wants to be with someone, to spend time with a person, when they need to confide in someone or be comforted, when they want real advice or to share real emotion, the flashy people and flashy things are the farthest from their mind. They need people that are adults. They need people who have worked to improve themselves. I would contend that most of us want to be that person that people envy, that person that their friends brag about to others, that person that inspires some jealousy in others, at least some of the time. But I believe that given a choice, what we would all prefer more and what we really want is to be that real person that people want to genuinely talk to, the person people love getting to know, the person that actually makes people feel better about themselves and the world. And this is not some magic gift given to a few special few, but hidden from the rest of us. It genuinely comes down to you being the best person you can be. You being that mature person that people can talk to. You being the version of you when you've addressed your own shortcomings to try to be better. Well, yes, there can be a quick boost to your ego by having the coolest new gadget or most expensive car. The real and lasting fulfillment from being a more mature adult is immeasurable. So how do you get there? This is actually a very individual question, and you may or may not know the answer already. Some people are actually very aware of their shortcomings, although I would suggest you may be surprised by where your areas of needed improvement are. The areas of ourselves that we tend to be confident about tend to be areas we consider least. So these can be the places we actually need most to improve. Odds are that you've gotten some feedback about things that you can improve. Feedback tends to come from people you're closest to. This can be the hardest to hear and the hardest to actually want to change. One note on this, don't take feedback from those closest to you at face value. People aren't necessarily good at understanding others or themselves. Something bothering them about you doesn't mean it really is a problem with you, or that it definitely even bothers them. Complete honesty in relationships, even great ones, is not guaranteed, because people misunderstand themselves and others, and because the intimacy of a relationship can make the truth extremely scary. But back to understanding what you need to work on to be a better version of yourself. The obvious choices are the things that people will spend their time trying to get better at. I suggest starting with listening, not only because people can almost always improve at it, but because it is often the gateway to do so many other things. Once you can hear what others are saying, you'll be so much more effective in so many ways. But you've conquered a deficit I believe most people still struggle with. So understand that being the best you is also about slaying your demons. You know you have faults and failings, and the way you live your best life is by tirelessly trying to root them out. I'm not suggesting you waste your time on low-impact superficial things. Everyone could exercise more, be more productive, less lazy. These are nice goals, but focus on really impactful changes, because these are the ones that will make you the most mature person. Slaying your demons may also be too big a goal. In fact, there are faults that I have that I'm not sure I'll solve in my lifetime. But to at least confront your demons, understand them, and know when they're affecting you is extremely important. If you can recognize when you're being motivated by them and try to do better next time, that's a huge step in the right direction. And honestly, it's a step that many people never take. So while it may seem like these simple steps for self-improvement may not be visible or appreciated, I can tell you that they absolutely will be. Everyone a person interacts with can be impacted by the person's challenges. So when you address your weaknesses, you can have a huge impact on others. But even more so, realizing that your challenges have an enormous impact on you, how you see the world, and how much impact you can have on others. These steps you take, no matter how small, can start to significantly improve your lives and the lives of people around you. These are things I've learned. Thanks for listening.